I would say Democrats should always be blamed for government shutdowns.
Significantly reduces spending by $2 trillion. Freezing spending is good. Holding defense in place so that we can remodernize our military is good.
Let's watch MAGA Congressman Chip Roy on Fox News as he rather predictably tries to blame the incoming worry of a government shutdown on Democrats, despite Republicans controlling the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So be sure to smash the like button, helps this video get out there, helps our channel grow, and let's jump right into it with every fact check ready we have.
I would say Democrats should always be blamed for government shutdowns because they're always the worst when it comes to spending. But it does seem like a slightly different dynamic where you actually have Democrats like pounding the table saying, we're going to shut the government down. I think it's great.
Yeah, Charlie, good morning. Look, the president is absolutely correct. We've had a number of good, solid, and productive meetings with him over the last couple of weeks. What we've got is a bill that we're going to put forward. I'm on the Rules Committee. We'll vote on it on Monday, get it to the floor on Tuesday. Let's keep in mind what's going on. I'm no huge proponent of a CR, a continuing resolution, as being the best model for how we fund the government. But let's understand what we've been up against. Democrats who didn't want to get the job done. Now we have the chance to freeze spending at current levels. No omnibus, no great big bloated bill with all the sort of pages we haven't read. No earmarks, to the best of my knowledge. We have defense spending that is up a little bit so that we can do what we need to do on defense. We're holding the non-defense flat in basically an overall freeze.
You have to love how the Fox host shows how unserious this claim is and trying to say, well, it should just always be the Democrats' fault. They literally just want to point fingers and not take accountability. But the reason here is simple. Republicans, knowing they won't get the votes to pass their actual agenda through legislation because it's terrible legislation and they're inefficient at governing, are willing to put your lives, your livelihoods, I should say, at risk to try and leverage the government shutting down to force Democrats into passing their terrible agenda, which includes Medicaid cuts, among other things, through a CR, while also trying to force these disastrous DOGE cuts into law to be permanent, where Democrats were not elected to cut Social Security or Medicaid. So of course they should vote against it, force Republicans to own exactly what they're trying to do, put partisan politics over just keeping the government open, because when the government shuts down, it's the majority parties in the House fault. Every time.
We need to support the president to be able to move the ball forward with a freeze in spending. I think that's the right approach. There are a handful of my probably more conservative colleagues who are a little suspect. And I think as we walk through it and they understand that a spending freeze is always a really good win, and then identify the cuts that we can then leverage in the FY26 appropriations process, that's all inside Beltway speak for the average viewer at home. Freezing spending is good. Holding defense in place so that we can remodernize our military is good. Stopping Democrats is good.
The end part here is really important. Republicans are still just as adamant about not cutting the defense budget. Trump himself has said he won't touch the defense budget in a recent interview on Fox News, despite the fact that it is the sheer department that continues to fail audit after audit after audit, 7 audits in a row, while making up one of the largest portions of our government spending. So when Chip is talking about freezing reckless spending and finding cuts that are waste, fraud, and abuse, he's not actually talking about waste, fraud, or abuse. He's talking about spending that he doesn't agree with, like your grandparents' Medicaid or a single mom's food stamps or Social Security that keeps 2/3 of our seniors out of poverty. And that's really important to stress. This branding about waste, fraud, and abuse is just the latest way to sell their unpopular cuts that they've been trying to do for decades, because finding waste, fraud, and abuse is popular. But oh my gosh, turns out waste, fraud, and abuse isn't the most popular government program that we've ever had, Social Security.
We love what President Trump is doing, but we need structural reforms. And look, I'm proud to be working closely with the White House on this. We were able to get this, I think, package put together, and we'll hopefully deliver this week. We'll see. There's still some more work to do. I want to be very clear. But then we also were successful in moving the budget resolution through the House, which significantly reduces spending by $2 trillion and connects that reduction to the tax policies, which I think is an important connection. We were working together with the White House, working together as a conference, because we need those permanent changes so that we can actually deliver for the American people. And we got to prevent a future Biden from from being able to do what they did to destroy this country.
I mean, we've got to note that Biden destroying the country is him giving us the fastest rebound globally from COVID economically, overperforming economic metrics from GDP to wages to job creation, where he was able to avoid the recession projected before Trump left office. But the spending bill is important because he says the cuts are tied to the tax cuts, which they are, which again only further highlights how skewed to the rich these tax cuts will be, as the most they can have in them is $4.5 trillion. His 2017 tax cuts being renewed, which is what his plan is $4 trillion alone. The extended corporate tax cuts and manufacturing tax cuts he has planned are like $300 billion, $350 billion, which already leaves no funding room for no tax on tips or no tax on overtime or no tax on Social Security. And if they can't cut $2 trillion from your Social Security, from your Medicaid, from your food stamps, then they're going to have even less to work with, and even more is going to have to be put out of there, like maybe earned income tax credit, maybe the child tax credit. So like all of these things they hinted at $5,000 child tax credits on the campaign. None of this is going to happen. It's a proven campaign lie from Trump that will just be ignored by Republicans, never spoken about, as they recklessly slash federal jobs and spending to fund their rich guy tax cuts. That is all they will be.